Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our live session today. My name is Larissa. I'm an event planner at Reactor, joining you from Brazil. Before we start, I have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. The session is being recorded and will be available to view on demand here on the Reactor YouTube channel within 48 hours. Keep an eye on the chat, we'll be dropping helpful links and checking for your questions. I will now turn it over to our speakers for today. Thank you all and welcome Anu and Kevin.
Excellent. Hi, everyone, and welcome everyone to the FabCon SQLCon recap series. And we are here, and myself and Kevin. So we are going to discuss on this topic, which is all about trusted AI starts with Fabric using unified real-time intelligence and IQ. Such a long title, but I think we are going to crack into it and explain to you what real-time intelligence is all about and where does IQ fits in. So hopefully going to be a great session. So before I get started, I'll hand it over to you, Kevin. If you can quickly introduce about yourself, that would be
Yeah,
great.
sure. Hi, everybody. So my name is Kevin Chan. I'm a lead technology advocate. And as you can see on the screen, I'm also a Microsoft Data Platform MVP, certified trainer, Fabric super user. And you can find me online in a few different places. Anyway, that's me in a nutshell. Back over to you, Annie.
Excellent. And mine is pretty short, apart from my name, which is a long name. So you can call me as Anu. And I'm a Microsoft certified trainer as well as an MVP for data platform and AI. And here is my LinkedIn. So if you need to reach out to us, like you can always reach out to us through our social media channels. And we are always active. And yeah, if you have any questions after this, reach out to us. And of course, like we are supported here, Kevin, with three of our moderators, so they are available on the chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to put that in the chat. There is a great amount of knowledge reading to be shared. So I'll be encouraging you to put a lot of information in terms of questions in the chat. And also things like where are you from? Where are you joining us from? And also like how many of you actually are using RTI? And how many of you have got your hands on with Fabric IQ, Ontology, data agents? We would like to know about that in the chat. And I think yeah, any questions related to this topic or in general about Fabric, just ask us.
And also, we should probably ask who's done the RTI applied skill as well. Anyway, sorry, back over to you.
No issues. Okay, so I think this is just the session which we are presenting. I think towards the end, we are almost towards the end of the FabCon SQLCon recap series. We have one more session today, so stay tuned for that too. After this session, that would be great. And without any further delay, we'll keep moving on this topic. So here you go, like 2027 registration open for FabCon and SQLCon conference. Great conference, and I think I had the opportunity to attend it early this year, and looking forward for this conference again next year. So hope everyone, encourage everyone to just to go ahead and register it because, yeah, great atmosphere. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, it should. Well, obviously, all the FabCons are usually pretty good anyway. So yeah,
That's right.
it is worth attending these conferences.
Before we dive into it, just one more thing is around Microsoft is listening to your feedback and things. So if you have any feedback related to Fabric or SQL, there is a Fabric user panel and SQL user panel. Join here and share your feedback and discuss about everything. So any features that are going to come in the future or any feature that you are looking for, or even like how to get maximum value out of existing features. And also, like if you're new to Fabric or you want know someone who is, then probably like they are also looking for your feedback. So basically, like how do you use Fabric and what do you use it for currently, and what are your future plans and what features that you are looking for? And these are really great if you can share with us. And here is the QR code, and you can just join to new to Fabric and provide your feedback on that. And last but not the least is the Ontology Olympics competition. So if you want to just participate, and one of the great thing about this particular competition is like I like these type of things where you get into putting your skills into practice. So if you want to build an ontology and share your thoughts about it, just to participate in this contest, and I would recommend you to do that. Make a note of those dates because when you need to submit things by. And also there is an ontology live stream coming in on 5th of May. So keep an eye on that and yeah, get into and participate.
Should be some good treats for this.
That's right.
So
great. Over to you, Kevin.
Thank you very much. So yeah, as you can see clearly on the slide, folks, when you're working in a business, you're generating a fast amount of data, especially when it comes to working with streaming data, etc. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered within the business. And you need to make sure when you're working with all this that there's a unified understanding and you get the answers you need, because you basically cannot answer what you can't model. And without all of this, you have no clarity, which means you're going to be reacting slowly. So next slide over, please, Annie. So with this in mind, and I get some nice animation here, as you can see. And we seem to have jumped ahead another slide, but that's fine. I will work with this. So yeah, so Microsoft brings together all the actions and everything you need within a unified intelligence platform, like you can see on the slide here. So initially you work with, for example, real-time intelligence to ingest the streaming data, etc., and start doing your modeling. You store it in OneLake, you use it with IQ, ontologies, and then as the final animation you just showed appears, you then get to work with agents as well. And that gives you the true power you need for your unified intelligence platform for AI based on time series stroke real-time stroke streaming data. So if we can go over to the next slide, I will quickly cover about OneLake. So at the foundation of all of the data you work with in Fabric is OneLake. It's a shared data foundation for all the workloads. And you have probably already heard about the OneDrive moniker quite a few times already, so I don't need to do really that comparison for you all.
I was about to say that, like, are you going to say that straight statement, or am I going to say that?
I can say it and try and keep a straight face. I'm sure the majority of you have heard this a lot of times already, but yeah. So OneLake is basically comparable to the OneDrive within Microsoft Fabric. So there you go, I've said it.
That's right. Thank you.
And if you go over to the next slide, I just want to highlight for everybody that, yeah, as you can see, OneLake data can be used pretty much everywhere by mass compute engines as well. It can also ingest data. As you can see, you can see all the Fabric workloads in this nice diagram as well. One of those is Data Factory, and that's because there is a large amount of connectors. In fact, I think if I remember correctly, now over 170 different connectors that you can use to ingest data into OneLake effectively.
That's right.
So next slide, and I can start talking about real-time intelligence. So real-time intelligence is basically where you can ingest the streaming data. And as you can see on the diagram here, what Microsoft have actually done is taken the strong parts of all the different offerings in the past, including all the streaming related, time series related offerings for Azure, plus the power of various items in Power BI, etc., and added Copilot functionality to bring to you real-time intelligence in Microsoft Fabric. So it's all fully integrated within the Fabric environment. So next slide, please. Now, the idea of real-time intelligence, first of all, it can ingest data through a series of rich real-time streaming connectors. And you can see on the slide just how many connectors are currently available for real-time intelligence, or through event streams, technically, I suppose, and all the upcoming ones as well. And as you can see, some of the upcoming ones are quite interesting. So, for example, the SAP HANA one, which has got quite a few people excited, as well as things like CI/CD events as well.
I think you'd be more excited with the CI/CD one for sure, Kevin.
Maybe a little bit. So moving forwards, so real-time intelligence isn't just obviously we can say it's a workload, but actually consists of many different moving parts as well, because it's a life cycle. So as you can see here, and we've got some nice animation on the slide that I need to go through as I go from left to right. So first of all, you have the stream of the data as it happens, which you can then use to perform analytics. From there, you model it for your business needs. And this is actually animated, by the way, Anu. So if you go across and go for the next ones, it actually brings up a nice animation for me. You can then visualize what matters in nice real-time dashboards. And I get the feeling we'll probably have a few questions about those in a minute from people, if not now. And then finally, as you just seen, you can act on them as well with Activator, formerly known as Data Activator. So then they can all be used with Copilot, etc. And now we have a demo for you all on end-to-end of how to ingest and analyze data with RTI. So I keep quiet.
The Real-Time Hub is the one place in Fabric to discover, analyze, and act on data in motion. I go to Add Data and browse through the over 30 available connectors for database CDC, message brokers, web services, and public feeds. I pick MQTT, ideal for IoT devices like stadium turnstiles. I specify the connection to the MQTT broker, topic filter, and other details, and click on Connect. Within seconds, the event stream starts receiving events from every turnstile. I can also add a custom connector to get VIP entrance events from my SAP database. These events are then routed to an event house and Spark notebook. This Spark notebook reads the MQTT and custom connector events from the event stream using a Fabric-optimized Kafka adapter. The Real-Time Hub, each turnstile event is parsed and windowed. It runs 5-second tumbling window to calculate average queue length and max weight per entrance. When congestion is detected, it composes and publishes a business event right back into Fabric. Turnstile to alert, real-time, end-to-end. Streaming data is powerful when you can act on it. I go back to the Real-Time Hub, find the business event being published by the notebook. I set up an alert that notifies an operations manager whenever the average queue length exceeds 200. Here's the complete picture. Multiple sources, MQTT turnstiles, transportation, security, concessions, all flowing through event streams into our event house. This is the game day architecture, fully connected and ready. Now, game day. 100,000 fans arriving. The stadium fills up, queues build at the busiest entrances, and our streaming platform captures every moment. Back in Fabric, I want to monitor whether fans are queuing up for too long. I go back to the Real-Time Hub, find the congestion business event, and monitor its ebbs and flows throughout the game. Our operations team wants to know more. We can use the Activator dashboard, which shows us how the average queue lengths are trending at all the stadium entrances, at what points they cross the threshold, by how much and when the queue lengths return to safe levels. I can drill deeper and monitor the trends at finer grain time intervals to determine whether corrective action needs to be taken. Back in the Real-Time Hub, I can easily locate and open Event House and track all ingestion, performance, and related metrics. I can also use any number of tools, including notebooks and dashboards, to explore the data landing in the Event House.
Cool. I think that was a great demo, Kevin, because it just shows like the end-to-end what your real-time intelligence can do for you in Fabric.
It does indeed, and it's a fantastic demo. And I do hope the slides are shared with a lot of people after this for that particular demo. And I do believe it is available to you online as well, that particular one. So people can go and watch it again and again.
That's
The other thing I will highlight here is if you were lucky enough, or you can access the lab material for the RTI Applied Skills, it actually goes through these elements as well, which is fantastic. I think a good way for people to get hands-on. And of course, the Microsoft Learn material if they want to know more about the full end-to-end story. And there's a tutorial as well relating to it. Anyway, let's now talk about everybody's favorite topic, statistics. As you can see here, everybody, on the slide, there are some impressive statistics as far as real-time data is concerned, including 576 trillion total messages per month from signals, etc., devices around the world. 33, I think that's supposed to be terabytes there, streaming events, well, 33 trillion streaming events processed per month, etc., etc. I'm not going to go through all of these statistics again. One thing I will highlight, which isn't actually on the side, is that apparently, didn't know if you knew this, I knew 49% of Fabric customers currently use RTI in one form or another.
Okay, so did you say 49, is it?
49% apparently.
Almost, yeah, half of that, right? Like Fabric users are using real-time intelligence. That's great.
Yeah. Indeed, I suspect some of those are, for example, using things such as the alerts in Power BI as well, because that is behind the scenes actually using Activator.
I think that's the favorite part of mine is like, because I worked in with clients in real-time trading scenarios. And one of the cool thing is like when I looked at the activator, that was pretty cool because the easy way of you can surface any sort of anomalies and stuff in front of them rather than because in real time, you know, the velocity in which the data will be arriving. And it's really hard to find those anomalies. And that was really cool. And that's my favorite with an RTI.
Activator is really good. I used to describe it as in data driven plus because there's just so many benefits from using it, to be honest.
Right.
Anyway, folks, we do have some announcements for various things to cover for real-time intelligence. The first one is SQL operator in event stream, and this is where you get to leverage SQL queries basically to be able to perform analysis. Those of you who have worked with stream analytics in the past, this is quite similar to that kind of concept. So we just want to announce here that it is now generally available. Next is Spark structured streaming for event stream. And this, of course, as you can see in real time, you can actually work with Spark structured streaming here, which is absolutely fantastic thing to work with. And you can use your notebooks, etc. with it. This is now currently in public preview. And then there is Delta Flow as well. And as you can see, this is quite an interesting offering that's currently in public preview. This basically allows you to work with CDC streams, etc. coming in. Gives you some fantastic insights.
And that's always the common thing, right? So you need something that can track the changes. Common problem across the data teams.
There's some other uses for it as well, but it is, and then you can obviously use that data to check again to some interesting outliers as well, to be honest with you. And then there's business events as well, which you can work with in the real-time hub, and this can help you make some business decisions and get some alerts, basically drive it when certain business events happen. And then, forgot to mention as well about the last one, what the current state of it is. So the business events one is currently in public preview. Oh, you've gone back to it. You were too quick for me there. Yeah. Copilot in real-time intelligence. So as the majority of you know by now, there are multiple Copilot experiences in Microsoft Fabric. And now it's in public preview for real-time intelligence. And you can see it in use on the nice animation here. And it's very similar to the other Copilot experiences for Fabric items, as you can see.
Right.
And then finally, MCP and skills for real-time intelligence. Anybody who's been around during the last year has seen the increase in interest in working with MCP servers. You can now work with those with real-time intelligence in public preview. There has been one available in GitHub for a while now, for some time. It's now in public preview, so you can go off and work with.
Yeah, I think with the MCP servers, like we have two things, right? Like with Fabric, you have the generic like Fabric MCP, and you have the RTI MCP separately. So that is something to call it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Technically, there's actually quite a few MCP related servers for Fabric at the moment, to be honest with you, because you have the MCP server
Okay.
Fabric, you have the one for the semantic model, you have one technically for Power BI. So there are a handful of MCP servers available for Fabric related items at this moment in time, folks. I use MCP servers quite a fair bit in Visual Studio Code, so I know there's a lot of advantages to them. The skills are going to help you do a lot of your development stuff ongoing as well. And you can complement with multiple MCP and, of course, skills as well. Anyway, I need to move forwards pretty fast. Geospatial visualization and map is now generally available for all of you. So for those of you who have seen this very amazing demo relating to the visualization you're seeing on the screen relating to maps, this is now generally available.
That looks cool because I think now you can represent a whole heap of things through the maps.
You can indeed. There's a very good demo of it that was shown at a few conferences back, which people can go and watch online now. Anyway, IQ.
Great. Thanks, Kevin. And I think we are now moving on to the next topic is IQ. So where does IQ fits in when it comes to Fabric is like if we have to make the right decisions and we have to do that in a consistent way along with confidence, then probably like we have to start thinking about using IQ. So when it comes to Microsoft Fabric, right? So IQ plays an important role. So now, if you look at most of the things that we have been talking about, like the terms like ontology, the graph, the plan, data agents, operations agents. So these are some of the things that you have been like hearing a lot about, and they are all part of the IQ. So where this is IQ is taking is in terms of adding some sort of semantic meaning to your data. And that's what we are going to start looking at what it really means. So if I just go ahead and talk about the business knowledge, what organizations are getting, right? So let me put this animation slide in here. So when you have a lot of knowledge in the organization, it is all great. But if the knowledge is not connected, it is not going to give you any value, right? And that's where the Fabric IQ comes into the picture because you want to get the maximum value out of information or the data that you have got in the organization. And how do you go about getting that? So the Microsoft IQ, which is a combination of three IQ products, like you have the Work IQ, and which is basically talking about how to get how your employees work. So you can monitor that, you can get context around who are the people you have got, how they collaborate, and what are the workflows that they are using. And in addition to that, if you go towards the data side, you have the Fabric IQ, and that is going to provide you the context about your business entities and the actions that they perform and what is that additional information, like how different parts of the business interpret the data. And that's what you get through Fabric IQ. And you have Foundry IQ that is going to provide you that institutional knowledge in terms of like what are the policies, what are the documents that are authoritative, what are the constraints I need to set, where are my knowledge bases are located. So that's what Foundry IQ provides you. So it's a combination of all the three is what is adding intelligence to your enterprise data. And if you think about putting all these together in your agents, that's what is going to give you the complete intelligence layer. So have you tried all the three, Kevin, or is it like I have tried Fabric IQ, but and Foundry a bit, but not much on the Work IQ yet?
I've not really delved much into the Work IQ of it. I must admit, I have delved in a bit for Foundry IQ for some projects.
Yeah.
And yeah, Foundry IQ, it is a very interesting thing to work with. I think we actually cover it a bit more in this session as well, a little bit anyway. So yeah.
That's right. So where we are talking about in terms of Fabric is all about unifying data, right? And so, but where IQ comes in is like, of course, Fabric unifies the data. And how do we make sure the business understands this data? And that's where IQ comes into the picture. So let us talk about this using an example, right? So what Fabric IQ allows you to do is to see your data as a whole system, not isolated metrics. And this is where intelligence comes as more paramount. So this is basically a view of a stadium example. So I think even Kevin talked about it. So if you take a stadium, typically like you have entities like you have got the stadium gates, the attendees who will be attending any event, the employees who work there, of course, food, and I love the food when I go to the stadium. And then, of course, like you have the travel thing. So you have the buses or the way of like how you can navigate to and fro to the stadium. So that's what we call it as. Each one of them is termed as what we call it as entities. And then you have what we call it as in terms of properties and actions. So properties is like if you take a particular entity like a gate and you have like a location, you have got what is the turn style or what is the scan rate or what is the wait time in each and every gate. So these are some of the properties associated with that entity. And of course, then you can perform actions. What are the actions that I can perform with a gate? Like I can open or close the gate. I can assign someone to the gate. I can like a schedule for a repair and so on. And these actions are actually going to generate signals and using which you can perform some sort of like reasons over it. And that's what basically like how you will be starting to break down things when it comes to Fabric IQ. So you have your entities, you have your um, properties and actions, and of course you have your relationships. So without relationships, like it is really difficult because when you have entities in isolated mode, like it's not going to add more value. But as soon as you start relating them, so how a stadium is related with the food stands, with the gates, and with the employees or the staff or the attendees, and this is what is going to add that intelligence. So how they connect, how they depend, how they influence each other, and just if you have the tables alone it is not going to capture that information. So when you have that relationships, that's where you get to see like a lot of intelligence, like how different things, when you combine them, it is going to add. So this is not something new, right? We all know like when you have tables, like in a relational table or whether it's dimensional models, we always talk about relationships. So nothing new in here, but it just emphasizes how much this is really important, even in Fabric IQ. And the other part that is important is your policies. So policies is some of the times like you have to do things like where IQ is going to make those things more explicit. So how do I define some of the rules? Like how do I do manage crowd management, and what are the security protocols I need to be complying with, and what about food safety and other aspects with my food stand? So we have to set these rules, and what IQ will help you to do is to make these rules more explicit, and also it is going to enforce the rules. And I like the rules part really when it comes to IQ, because the same thing, like you may have a lot of, if you take a classic example I normally give to people is when you go and look at Power BI, like your top 5 gates where people are entering in, you can just go and say like, oh, it is going to, if you have a data agent, it is going to sort it by descending order, number of people who are entering through the gate, and it is going to give you. But it may not be the exact way how a business interpret that, right? So they may have some additional rules. They are not just going to decide on how many people are entering through the gate is what how they measure it. So they may be measuring it based on other business rules, like okay, how far is that gate, and then how many people are coming through, because in that case they wouldn't even consider that gate as like the gate to be used in that measurement. So business rules are really important in terms of like rather than just making tools like Power BI to automatically interpret what it is, here the business have an opportunity to define their rules, and which the models and the agents can basically take it over from there on. So, and key things is around objectives. So objectives are nothing, but they provide you the clear areas around how do we take care of safety? How do we take care of experience in this scenario when it comes to a stadium? So basically, like if you take IQ, all these things tie it to what we call it as outcomes. So if you have all these things well defined in through Fabric IQ, in terms of if I put everything together here, so the entities, the properties, the actions, the relationships, the policies, the objectives, and this is what the language for your business is all about. When you define all these things clearly, this is going to add that extra layer of intelligence, and that will speak for itself. So you don't need to go and define every single thing. Once you define your Fabric IQ with all these language of the business that I talked about, then pretty much like your agents will pick from there on. And this is my favorite slide, just to interpret to people like, why do we even care about Fabric IQ and Ontology, right? This one slide is clear, is just easy to explain it. Because if you look at it, every organization used to have like different departments, and each department, they do things differently. And if you take one common term, right, it will have different meanings to different people. And that's what exactly the slide is interpreting. And that's why exactly we need IQ and ontology in here, because you have to add the business meaning, and that business meaning can differ for different business units within your organization. So here, IT thinks active gate means it is like their turnstiles is working because that's what they care about. Whereas operations team, for them, active gate is all about when the gate is physically open. That's what they think like active gate means. Whereas in the ticketing team, they will be thinking active gate is all about the where the tickets are getting scanned. So you can see, right, like the different parts of the business, they have for the same terminology, they have different meanings. And that's the common problem that we face in a lot of enterprises is how do we capture it and how do we make sure like the agents that we are building also understands this? Because depending on the context of who is asking the question, the agents need to interpret like, okay, this is what active gate mean in this scenario. And that's where IQ and ontology comes into the picture. So basically what we are saying here is like to give a unified view for the business. And especially if you take that stadium example, so if you can't manage things, then basically like you can't model them accordingly. For instance, if I say like, oh, I have a table, I don't even know what I use it for, then probably that is not going to give enough clarity even for your agents. So make sure like you provide that clarity, and so that your decisions are not going to be fragmented, and it is going to be more valuable, and it is going to be providing you the more proactive way of looking at things. Cool. So just to talk about, before I jump on to ontology. So this is basically what we are saying here is we take the semantic meaning. And so basically like all the different things that I talked about, like your entities and other things. And then we put that through Fabric IQ and ontology, and where your data gets some meaning, which is basically the business meaning. And the meaning is what becomes action. And that's where your agents will start to utilize this information, and it can be more like valuable, I would say. So if you think about agents, right, people tend to ask this question, like, I have a semantic model already, like, why do I need ontology and other things? As I said, right, semantic model, of course, we have been using, and we have been building agents using the semantic model. But what it was lacking was that additional context. Because when we used to build reports, it's quite easy for us to take the semantic model, and because we are building the report, so we know exactly what things mean and where you have to drag and drop a measure to explain to business in the report. But think about when you are actually giving that task to an agent, because people are going to ask natural language question. How does the agent gets the context? What does this mean in this context? And that's the additional context that we are including as part of IQ and ontology. So one thing to keep in mind is previously it wasn't required because we were not having agents to do the work. But now we have to provide that additional knowledge, what we have, to the agents. And that's where IQ and ontology comes into the picture, and they play an important role. So that leads us to quickly around ontology. So ontology allows you to model your business. So everything that we talked about, right, in terms of like how the business actually works, how the different concepts in real world are related to each other. So what it is, as I said, right, it is going to elevate the team to use the data with AI. So AI can also use this data. They can interpret the tables, the schemas, and everything in the language of the business. And that's what we are helping agents to understand by defining that ontology. So this is that additional layer we are talking here about, right? So you have your tables, you have your streams, you have your operational systems. We add this additional layer of ontology, and which is what the agents are going to be connecting to, which is going to give that additional information or the knowledge that we are looking for, making your agents more intelligent. So let us look at all these concepts through a demo, right? Because I think sometimes these concepts can be overwhelming, but when you put that into a demo, like, it will make things simple for you to understand. So we'll look at a quick demo on how to create ontologies, and then we will also look at another demo following that in terms of like how do we use ontologies that we created.
To begin, I start by creating a new Fabric IQ ontology for stadium operations, so there's a single place to bring together our data, meaning, and actions. With this item, we can build the shared language that connects entrances, checkpoints, concourses, seating, concessions, staff, shuttles, and incidents. Now we're inside the ontology. We have the option to build our experiences with the help of AI through Copilot. We can use this chat window to describe the kind of ontology we are looking to build. The agent is suggesting that we may be able to leverage existing semantic models. The stadium already has a few they have used in the past for Power BI. So let's use these to help kickstart our ontology. Next, Copilot is asking me to describe the ontology I want to build. We want to provide it a strong description of what our business is and the kinds of things we want to represent. Alongside my description, I also specify that I want to surface some core stadium concepts such as entrances and security checkpoints. As it generates, I can watch entities and relationships appear in real time, along with Copilot's reasoning based on the semantic model and my descriptions. Once it's done, I take a quick pass through what Copilot generated. We could keep iterating and refining entities, tightening relationships, and letting Copilot help shape the design, but this is already a strong first version. So let's lock it in by clicking Approve. We can now view the outcome of our AI-assisted ontology. Shown here is a small subset, our event entity, with the relevant properties that represent it, as well as a series of relationships and other entity types that all make up this rich representation of our operation. Our stadium ontology is ready to consume if we'd like to stop here. But let's add some more tweaks of our own and fold in deeper context outside these semantic models. These entities are more than just static representations of objects. They can also hold live real-time data. I can browse over to my event house within Fabric and choose the relevant table I want to associate with this entrance entity. Here, I enrich the entrance entity with real-time streams such as queue length, wait times, and more. This data is now represented alongside the pre-configured data bindings generated from AI earlier. The operation may also be further enhanced by adding rules and alerts. We want to be aware of any shortages on the concession stands. So let's use Ontology to help set up a notification on Teams. Reports from Power BI may also be associated with entities to help centralize information even further. With all these configuration options, the operations team can work from a single entity-centric view to begin understanding their stadium deeper and the interconnected parts that make up game day.
Cool. So
To begin,
basically, like what you saw in that particular thing is around how to create ontologies, and this is a prerequisite, especially if you are creating data agents or operation agents or any type of agents that you create in Fabric. Having that ontology layer is what is going to give that additional context or the business context to your agents. So let us quick look at another demo.
Before we go to the next demo, there's one thing I want to add as well for everybody. So just to be clear, obviously IQ is new in Fabric. the concept of ontologies has been around for quite some time. So if you need a bit more clarity about how to work with ontologies, etc., how to design your ontologies, there is also additional material for you online for you to go and look at as well. Sorry about that. I knew I thought I'd better highlight that for everybody, so when they go off to additional learning, etc.
That's right.
Anyway.
And don't forget it. This is the time I want to also tell you about the contest that we are having around how you can just participate in the ontology stuff. And also, like, there is an ontology playground that was also like introduced. So if you like, just go and search for ontology playground, or I think our moderators can put you some information around the ontology playground. I would definitely ask you to give a try with that one. Cool. So let us look at how do we use those ontologies that we really created in the previous demo, and we'll just look at this in this particular demo.
Now that we have our ontology created, we can leverage this in a multitude of ways within the item itself, as well as across the greater Fabric ecosystem. Let's begin by exploring some of the information directly available within the ontology item. We will be wanting to keep an eye on our entrances as the customers start to stream into the stadium, so we browse over to the entrance entity overview to get more information. The overview is providing us a complete status report of an entity instance represented within the ontology. We can see graph relationships as well as collated data surfaced as charts. This can be leveraged as a starting point for exploration and allow us to drill down to specific entities as well. Looking at some of the line charts, it seems that the north gate appears to be under longer queue lengths and wait times than others. Let's investigate further. While browsing within a specific entity instance, such as this north gate, we get a view of the gate and its current data, alongside comparisons to other gates associated with this entity type. While the instance overviews can give us a lot of data on how our operation is trending, we can take this shared meaning across the larger Fabric ecosystem. One place we can leverage this data is through Fabric maps. Using the ontology as a data source, Fabric maps can reuse the collated data associated earlier to help configure this map, and add our entrances alongside the current parking and concession data represented already. By leveraging ontology as the semantic source of truth, your teams across Fabric will be speaking the same language, no matter where the data is used. Our team has configured the entrances to show up on the map and surface important metrics such as queue length, but we are looking to drill down deeper and find what's causing these issues at the north gate. This is where ontology can help us even further with the power of Fabric Graph. Back in the north gate overview page, while before we were using the charts to get an idea of the current status, the ontology goes deeper than this. Alongside this data, we can also leverage Fabric Graph to execute a query and view the interconnected pieces that relate to this entity instance. Maybe downstream, we can find the cause of these lines by exploring the relationships deeper. For this, let's dive into Fabric Graph. Now that we have our
So that was a pretty good one. I really liked the maps because how the maps are adding values. Great. Let us talk about a few announcements in the ontology space that we had during the FabCon and SQLCon event. And so we have got now ontology in Fabric IQ, which is public preview now. So we talked about ontology a lot, so we'll keep moving on. And also like ontology actions and rules. I explained to you why actions and rules are really important. Defining your business logic, you can define exactly what needs to be performed based on that. And this is also in public preview right now as part of the announcements. And the graph analytics, like we saw a great example of this in our demo. And so how you can use the ontology, and then you can get more analytics out of it using the graph. And again, that is released as public preview. And last but not the least is the graph in Fabric IQ. So this is how to make your business to understand and see how all your data is interconnected. And you can use AI to reason over that information. That is also now is in public preview. So most of these things, like which has been in either private preview or just a limited private preview, now it is in public preview. So get your hands on, and that's the key part in here with ontology and Fabric IQ. And this is one key announcement that they made is also like your planning. So now you can use the planning tool, which is like for helping you with planning and forecasting over your data. This is in public preview again. So really encourage. There is a lot of topics and things in MS Learn, as well as the community is putting a lot of videos around planning in Fabric IQ. So I would definitely recommend you to just explore that also when you get some time.
Yeah, and it's worth noting as well, if you want to use all these nice new features of Ontology, you do have to have the settings enabled in your tenant settings in Fabric as well.
Yeah, that's excellent point, Kevin. Yeah, you have to turn it on as part of your admin portal. Great.
Right,
Over to you, Kevin.
Over to me to talk about agents. So obviously everything that we just saw with IQ is understanding how the business truly works and getting that additional layer of understanding, more context, etc. However, once you do have that context, you have to dive deeper into it to get a better understanding. And that's where AI comes into play. And as you can see on this slide here, there are actually two types of AI available. And to be honest with you, these days in 2026, I think most people are very familiar with large language models. So obviously, essentially with the way that people are using natural language model to talk to everything and get answers that they need, etc. So if we go over to the next slide, so I can show the alleged current state of play at this moment in time for everybody, where it's all the tables are all separated. There's no true meaning and context between the tables. And so when people are using, well, AI agents, or when AI agents are in use, basically, it doesn't have that full understanding of how the tables are all connected, etc. And then, as you can see here, the future vision, working with IQ, like the ontologies that we just covered in quite a fair bit of detail, to be honest with you, AI will be able to have a better understanding of all your data because it will all be connected in a nice, simplified way. You'll be using the power of graph ontologies, etc. So we did briefly talk about the IQ related offerings for these earlier, but as you can see, there is a wide spectrum of AI agents you can use. So in Microsoft Fabric, you work with the no code. In other words, you work with the data agents that are available. In Microsoft Copilot Studio, you have a low code based approach where it's quite easy to use as well. And then for the pro code, depending on which name you want to use the roles these days, pro code engineers, pro code engineering, etc., you can use Microsoft Foundry, which, as some of you will probably say in the description, has got all the bells and whistles.
Yeah, so one thing to just add on here, Kevin, is like if you're using Copilot Studio, now Fabric is one of the data source that where you can tap the knowledge from Fabric inside Copilot Studio. And same thing with Foundry. So any data, your organization data, you have it in OneLake, right, in Fabric, you can now leverage that in Copilot Studio agents as well as in Foundry agents.
Yeah, your spoiler alert for one of the things that's in the announcement. Yes. So I'll try and keep a straight face now. Anyway, yeah. So if you are using data agents, you can actually connect to those agents in Copilot Studio and Foundry. And there's something else as well, which I knew was kind of giving the game away about, but I will pretend it didn't happen whilst I'm going through all these announcements now. So first of all, first announcement relating to the data agents that are available. And by the way, here, as you can see, retrieval augmented generation, or as most people call it, RAG. RAG is now generally available for you all to use. And as you can see in this nice animation in the screen, you can go off, you can use it contextually, you can point everything with Foundry now, etc., etc.
And this is the common pattern, right? So it's nice to see that this is like in GA within Fabric, because RAG is actually going to give the true value for your business on how they can use their data with the agents.
Yeah. So a lot of people are doing a lot of interesting things with embeddings now, that's for sure. And here is always an anomaly detector, which is currently in public preview. As you can see, you can have that nice monitoring in place to flag up any anomalies. You can do analytics as well, and analyze what's happened in the past effectively with the anomaly detector as well. So as you can see here, is geared up for high volume and high felicity of incoming signals.
Right.
Next, please, and I will try and keep a straight face about this now and pretend that the last few minutes of spoiler didn't happen. So, data agents in Fabric IQ are available. What does this mean? It means that you can create a data agent now for your ontologies. This means that you can talk to your ontologies using natural language. Also means that you can connect that through other means as well. Now, a question I got asked a couple of times recently is about, is there an MCP server available for ontologies? At this moment in time, not directly. However, when you work with data agents in Microsoft Fabric, you can actually connect through an MCP endpoint in Visual Studio Code now. So if you're using Visual Studio Code, you can look to take advantage of that MCP server endpoint and then use that to talk to your ontology with natural language.
Excellent. That is good to know, Kevin.
Yeah, a little bit of advice for everybody there.
Yeah.
And then, and this is where I really need to keep a straight face because there was a little bit of a spoiler alert earlier. The operations agent is now available in Fabric IQ.
Excellent.
And if you go on to and this is currently in public preview along with Foundry agent using Fabric IQ now. So as was mentioned earlier, if you're working Microsoft Foundry now, you can actually connect that directly with Fabric IQ instead of having to use a data agent essentially.
Okay, cool.
That is coming soon, as you can see.
Great. So I think these are some cool announcements, like literally from the agent perspective, like how can like Fabric data can be used with agents, or even more with the agents that are available in Fabric, like the data agents and operations agent.
Yeah.
Cool. So let us look at a quick demo on operations agent, because we talked about agents, but it would be nice to wrap this up with a quick demo.
Yeah. Everyone can see operation agents in actions.
I'm looking at arriving passengers on bus and subway transit, and I'm going to ask real-time intelligence to find anomalies in the data using this anomaly detector I've created. When creating the anomaly detector, I specify the fields to examine, and it selects the most suitable algorithm for the data patterns, whether it's periodic data, trends, or spikes. The system analyzes historical data and applies those patterns to real-time incoming information to detect anomalies. It uses 12 algorithms based on the data type and structure, so it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Here I've analyzed subway delays, which will affect incoming passengers to the stadium. The analysis recommends the top 3 algorithms best suited for that data. I preview specific anomalies found and can adjust sensitivity to minimize false positives or negatives. If satisfied, I can save this and start to publish those anomalies back to the real-time hub. These events are then available for me to go and act on. I could save them into an event stream and then send the anomalies to an event house to do some further long-term analysis, or I could subscribe to them and set up alerts on them. In this case, I want to be alerted if there's a confidence score of over 60 for these particular anomalies, which will help filter out some of the noise. I'm going to be proactively notified so that my teams can go and take action. It's super simple for me to monitor the incoming attendees, reducing the lines entering the stadium and improving the customer experience. I quickly and easily can go from insights to action. With attendees moving through the stadium, buying things from the concessions, etc., our Ontology helps tracks the business operations in real time. Operations Agent can help out operating continuously in the background, functioning as a virtual team member, identifying problems, and making recommendations to the operations teams for ongoing improvement. When configuring an agent, I set its goals and instructions. In this case, I'm giving it business goals around managing stock levels in our concession stands. I can tailor instructions to specific activities for each agent. The semantic information is sourced from the Fabric IQ ontology. I connect the agent to the ontology for it to reason over the data. The ontology can have actions defined on entities that the agent can start, and I can add new ones here as well. Actions have descriptions that the LLM uses for reasoning and parameters filled in from the data. In this case, I've connected the actions to Power Automate to start workflows, such as logging tickets directly in other systems. Once configured, I save the agent and generate its operational playbook. This infers logic from the instructions and ontology, creating rules that the agent will follow and apply over time. It's brought in the inventory entity from the ontology and set up rules to reorder stock or bring on additional staff to deal with busy situations. With the agent running in the background, monitoring my data, it starts to send messages in Teams with real-time updates on its findings. It spotted a stand with low stock and did a quick investigation to produce details of exactly what happened. It's made a chart showing the trend of stock on hand, but it suggested doing more investigation to validate that action. When it runs a deeper investigation, it performs a root cause analysis and confirms that its suggestion is the best course of action, with a summary and key observations to back up the recommendation. I'm happy with this, so I tell the agent to proceed. It confirms details of the action, helping me be confident in what the agent is doing. Trust and confidence is critical. In the agent screen, I see the actions the agent took, which rules were triggered, and which recommendations were approved. I can see that this agent is adding value. I can even get to the details to see specific queries it ran and the alerts and recommendations it sent. The context from the ontology and the power of operations agents enhances our stadium's operational efficiency, meaning better customer experience and business results.
There you go. One thing I really like about that demo is it does highlight the fact that everything that we're covering in a day can be used and tightly integrated with other services as well as obviously ingesting everything. As you just seen with the Ops agent, there is a level of tight integration with other Microsoft offerings. Well, not tight, but there can be integration with other offerings there as well. So I just thought I'd add that in here as well.
That's right. I think that the demos are the previous demo that we saw was really cool because it shows like everything together, right? And the key thing is it's not about just using the data, but also like what are the actions that you can perform with that data and integrating it. Like that example talked about, like, okay, let me restock something using Power Automate. So you will be able to just integrate with things to perform actions directly from your agents.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
I think
it's nice and smooth.
Yeah, that's right. And we are almost close towards the end here. And one of the thing that is, I think everyone, including Kevin, like you will agree to that, is for us to keep up to date with all these new announcements that are happening across the board. And so here are some slides that are available in here. So to give you a clear idea around when things have been announced, like pretty much the roadmap for Fabric, real-time intelligence. We have a Fabric roadmap itself, like a separate website where you can see all the, not only just real-time intelligence, but everything about all the Fabric components, like and what is the roadmap related to that. But if you are more specific with real-time intelligence, and here are the announcements that was made back in Ignite last year, and the more recent announcement in at the FabCon SQLCon conference. And as you can see, there is a huge amount of announcements that has been made, which we tried to cover it as part of the session. And build is not far away. It is coming up soon. And you can see some of the key announcements that would be like what is coming up as part of the bill, like, and also any future ones. So these just to take this as a high level indication because things can change closer towards the event, but worthwhile to keep in mind because especially when we are having conversations with our customers, like it is good to know what's available and what's coming up and when. And that's where I really love with the Fabric team because I think those partner calls that we have a good idea in terms of what we already have, what's coming up, and also if there is a particular feature that is really important for businesses, like how they can pitch that in with the Microsoft engineering team.
Yeah, and when they show roadmaps like this, you can also see how much at scale work they actually have to do.
That's right. And also here, that's right. And also here is the roadmap for the ontology in Fabric IQ. not only the real-time intelligence, but also if you need to know like what is coming up with ontology, and all these slides will be available for you. So just in case if you want to go, you want to delve into detail about each and every like releases, what it is covering, just I would recommend you to just go through the slides to get that idea around that. And we are pretty much close to wrap up our session. So what I would suggest is like we covered a lot of concepts, but get your hands-on with RTI and Fabric IQ. So here are some QR codes that will provide you materials to get going and get your hands-on with Fabric IQ, and as well as like your real-time intelligence. Great. Few more URLs for you to just come learn about real-time intelligence and Fabric IQ and ontology. So keep yourself up to date, and also like, engage with the community to learn more about it. And don't forget the session that is coming up later today, so that it is the final session that we have got as part of the FabCon SQLCon recap series. So with that, I think we are pretty much towards the end, Kevin.
We are at the absolute end. We are on time for everybody as well. So
That's right.
yeah, I think. Do you want to say the thank yous, Anu, for everybody? Or?
Definitely, yeah. Thanks, everyone, and thanks for just taking the time to watch this recap series. And hopefully, you would have got a lot of information about it. But just don't forget to look at those QR codes and the links that we have been showcasing, and you will be able to access the all those links and the information that we shared in the slides. And I would definitely recommend you. And don't forget the contest and also the session that is coming up later today on Fabric Data Factory.
Yeah, definitely remember that contest. Looking forward to seeing what gets submitted for that particular one.
Cool. And thanks, Kevin. It is always great to co-present with you.
I try my best.
Great.
Thanks, folks.
And thanks, everyone. See you later.
Thank you. Thank you, Anu. Thank you, Kevin, for the session today. Thank you all for joining. Here at the Reactor, we are always looking to improve your experience. So if you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear what you have to say. You can find the link to our survey on the screen or in the chat. And we'll see you in the next one.